So hi there, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this tutorial video, I will show you how to create an animated website with Bootstrap Studio in full depth. After watching the whole tutorial video, you will be able to create any website UI design like e-commerce website, informative website and many more. So if till now you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and press the notification bell. So without wasting the time, let's jump right into the video. So now let's create a fresh new design in Bootstrap Studio. After opening your Bootstrap Studio, just click on new design, and after that you need to select your project name. So the project name that we're going to be keeping right now is going to be simple tutorial video, and select the Bootstrap version to use. So I'll be using the Bootstrap 5.1 version because it's the latest version in 2022 right now. And we are going to be selecting a blank template. If you want to select any templates, like you wanted to edit it as you like these templates, these are the templates that Bootstrap provides you. And if you like any template for your portfolio, you can select and you can edit, but we are going to be creating it from scratch, so we are going to be selecting the blank template. After selecting, just click on create button and it will create your Bootstrap project, as you can see right over here. Now let me maximize the Bootstrap Studio screen and press F11 to make it look more clean in the tutorial video. So as you can see, here's my body right now, simple, and here's my HTML tag and here's my body tag. In the HTML, if you just go with the HTML programming languages, you can see that we do have a doc type and we do have a body tag in which all of our section and code goes that we need to display it in front end. It's same like that, but in Bootstrap Studio we are going to be using the drag and drop that Bootstrap provides us to create our website UI design easily and fast. And in that UI design that the Bootstrap provides us, if you need to edit, you can just open your CSS file right in the design section and the bottom right of the screen. When you just click on style, you're going to be getting the style.css file, which is right now empty as we have not written any kind of a CSS code and we have not dragged any kind of a header or a package that Bootstrap provides us. So without wasting the time, let's start creating our website. Before creating the website, I would like to show you the live demo of the website that we're going to be creating in our today's tutorial video. So let me just open my Brave browser and open this website. This is the Tesla clone website that we're going to be creating in our today's tutorial video, which is a full website with animations included in it. But for the tutorial purpose and for learning the Bootstrap Studio, we are only going to be focusing on the home page because all of the other pages are created samely, but the images and content are different. So this is the home page that we are going to be creating. So let me do a refresh. As you can see how the website animates, how the text comes. When I do scroll down, you can see how the button animates. We can see a video and a base specs table right over here. When we do scroll down, we do have an image with these two columns in a row in which we are displaying a text and a paragraph. When we do scroll down, we have a image with its title, which you can see right over here. And simple, we do have this animated div in which we displaying this beautiful and amazing line in between these images and a reserve now button. And then we do have a simple footer with some copyright trademarks and some early access links. Great. And this website is going to be fully responsive. When I do right click and click on inspect and select the devices, as you can see, when it comes to the responsiveness, the website is fully responsive. So this is the benefit of Bootstrap Studio. You don't need to write any kind of a media queries for making your website responsive. But if you're feeling something is happening wrong with your website responsiveness, you can easily change the media query, or you can even create your own media query in your CSS file. Am I right, guys? Yes. So now I'm just going to be closing out this tab because we are going to be opening our live project in our browser. so it will not make you all guys confused between the real project and the project we are working on. Great. So for running your Bootstrap Studio project in the browser, you need to click on the preview button. After that, you need to click on this button, that is preview is disabled. Just enable it, and you need to copy the first URL you can see right over here and click on save. Then open your browser and paste the URL in it. And then you're going to be seeing your fresh Bootstrap Studio project in your browser. As it's blank, so we are seeing a simple white blank page. Alright, great. So first we are going to be working with the header. So for that we are going to be taking a section. So in this Studio tab, you're going to be getting all of the packages that you need in your website. You can just search for here, drag it to your body tag, and you can easily style it in your CSS file. It's just that simple. And if you don't want to write the CSS code, you can just select that specific ID. You can just create a CSS block that I will be teaching you after some times, and you can just easily edit your code without writing any CSS or any single line of code. It's just simple. Click and style it. So first let's work with the header section. So we are going to be dragging this section inside our body tag. As we drag, as you can see, we do have a section. So the first thing that we are going to be doing is we are going to be providing this section an ID. So as you can see, when I dragged and dropped this section inside the body, we can see the section being displayed right over here in our HTML file. This is our body, and this is a section that we have dragged and dropped in it. Now for providing it an ID, you need to just click on attributes and select the ID and write an ID that you need to keep for your section. So we are going to be going with the hero ID. After that, just click on outside of your attributes, and as you can see, the ID is assigned to your section. It's just simple. Now inside our section, we are going to be providing a background image. So as you can see, we are in the Android device size. We should have a background image assigned to it. So for providing it a background image, what we are going to do, we are going to be selecting the specific section. So for selecting the specific section, we have provided it an ID, right? So for selecting that specific ID in your CSS file, just click on the down arrow and click on create a CSS block. And as you can see now, the CSS block is created successfully. Am I right or not? Right, guys? Now after that, you need to come to your appearance section and click over here to the style attribute and select your ID of your section, that is hashtag hero. After selecting that, you're going to be getting all options to modify your section right over here without writing any CSS code. So the first thing that we're going to be doing right over here in our section is changing the height and the width. So the height that we are going, the width that we're going to be giving it is going to be 100%, and the height is going to be 100 VH. VH means vertical height in CSS language. We are not going to be providing it a margin or a padding in it. Now we need to assign it a background image. So for assigning it a background image, just do scroll down and you can see right over here a background section. You just need to click on this add image, then you need to select the URL option right over here, and they will say you to select the image, but we are not having any kind of an image right now imported in our Bootstrap Studio, our project. So for importing it, open your file explorer. The link to the website images that I'm using right over here will be provided in the description below. You can easily access and download, and you're free to use it. Now we're going to be dragging these images in our project right over here. Boom, guys, and as you can see, the images are imported in a images tab. That means now we can easily access them. Now we're going to be clicking on this again, and now we need to select a background image. So first we are going to be selecting a background image that is going to be for Hero Mobile, and for the desktop we are going to be selecting a different image which is going to be hero.jpg. So first let's work with the mobile. So we're going to be selecting Hero Mobile JPEG and click on OK. And now as you can see, the background image is assigned, but it is not coming in a full size. The image is being hidden and overflowed. So for that you need to select your position and click on center. After that you need to select the size and click on cover. That's it. That looks really good, but our image is being repeated, so just select your repeat section and click on no repeat. That's it guys, we are all set with our image. Now we are going to be assigning our hero section the color, the font color of black. So for that you need to just select over here the font color that you need to use, as we are going to be using the font in a hex value that I do have 333. I'm going to be entering and clicking on select, and as you can see the font color is selected. Great, so we have done with the first part. Now as you can see the image is being properly displayed in the mobile devices, but when we come to the larger devices, as you can see the image is being too zoomed. For an example, if I do open my project in a browser, as you can see the image doesn't look cool because the image size is only for the mobile devices. So now we need to assign the image for the big size like our tablet and our PC, laptop, etc. So in the mobile device the image looks really good and clear. Now we need to set the image for 768 pixel. So how we will do that? It's just simple. You need to just click on this three dots right over here in your CSS file and click on duplicate. Your code will be duplicated, then you need to click on three dots back again, and then you need to add a media query. Remember, for adding a media query, it's going to be added min width by default. So you need to select the device from where you need to add this media query. So we are going to be adding the media query from this tablet in a landscape mode to our laptop and monitor screen devices. Now we need to change the background image. We are going to be selecting our hero.jpg and click on OK. That's it guys, we are all set right now. Now let's open our browser again, and boom guys, as you can see the background image looks really clear, right or not? Yes. Now if we do open our Android device, and now as you can see the image in Android device also looks clear. So you are confused what happened over here, what you have done right over here. I will explain you in detail, so don't worry about it at all. So this is the CSS code that we have written for our mobile devices, in which we have added an image that is for mobile. Then in Bootstrap Studio you can add a media query. For adding a media query, just duplicate your code, add a media query, but before that select the device size from where you need to add the media query in. So we are going to be adding the media query from this landscape tablet mode. So we have selected that, and min width means the code that you're going to be applying in this media query will be applied to the larger size of the screen. Right guys, then what we have done over here in this media query, I just changed the background image to the background image that we was having for our desktop mode. Simple guys, it's that simple how to use media queries in Bootstrap Studio. So now you have learned how to make your image responsive, and you have learned how to use media queries in Bootstrap Studio. Alright guys, so as you can see now I have changed my face cam place on the screen from bottom right to left center, because guys you was not able to see the design section because of my face cam. Am I right or not? Now my face cam is right over here, so you will be able to see everything, because the section or the studio in which we are going to be searching for the packages will be displayed on the top, that you can see right above my face cam. So we should not worry about anything right now. So let's start working with our header section. So now we are all done with our section, am I right or not? Okay, so now let's start creating the nav part. So in this section, which you can see right over here, we are going to be entering a div. Okay, this is going to be a top div and down div. So this div is going to be having an ID of hero-top. So what you need to do is select the div and provide it an ID that is going to be hero-top. top. And now as you can see, the ID is assigned to it. Great. Now in this div I will be adding the navbar. So just search for the package that you need to add, that is navbar. Just select and just you need to drag it inside the div. And as you can see guys, the header is being displayed. Am I right or not? Yes. So now what I'm going to do is, for a quick and a medium size view, I'm going to be selecting this device and I'm going to be minimizing out a bit, so it will be really easy for you all guys to see the code. So now the first thing that we are going to do over here is that we need to change our brand logo. Then we need our list items to be displayed in center, and then we are going to be having our third list item that is going to be for login and sign up form, which will be displayed on the right hand side. So first let's work with the brand. All right. So just select the brand logo and then you need to come to the appearance. Over here you need to click on options. Okay, just come to the appearance and you can see the background section right over here. Here you need to click on add image, then you need to select the image size. So we're going to be using this logo.svg, so that's the Tesla logo we are going to be selecting, and we're going to be clicking on OK. So as you can see guys, right now the Tesla logo is being repeated, right? So let me just close this help box. As you can see, the Tesla logo is being repeated, so we don't need that. As I said, you need to select the repeat and set it to no repeat. That's it guys, we are all set. And now you need to remove this text that is brand being displayed over there. Before that, let me select my Tesla brand, that is our logo. Okay, and just position it center, and the size we are going to be keeping it cover, that is going to be covering all of the side as I said you, but we are going to be keeping auto for displaying it fully. Now we need to select our text and now we can easily remove it. Okay, and now let's give it a height and width to our logo. So it depends on you how much height and width you want it to provide it. So I've already saved it in a CSS file for saving the time, so I'm just going to be selecting and seeing it. So we are just going to be providing it a width of 120 pixel and the height is going to be 10 pixel, that is set up by default. Great. Now let's start working with our middle list items. So first, the thing that we're going to be doing right over here is that change their text. So first is going to be model S, second one is going to be model X, third one is going to be model 3. Now I need some more nav links. So for that, you can just click on this duplicate and it will be duplicated but will be displayed down. So just press Ctrl+Z to rewind it back, and then you need to select your nav item, which you can see over here. You need to right click and click on duplicate, and now it's properly duplicated and displaying on the right side of your copied UL link. That means the nav link. So the next nav link is going to be Roadster. Again, we need to do is just select the nav item, right click, click on duplicate, it will be duplicated again, and now I'm going to be changing this nav link to energy in simple words. Alright. So as you can see guys, now we have done with the middle links. Now I need to create links on the right side of the navbar for our signing and login. So for that, you need to just come to your nav item, which you can see right over here. And it is located inside a nav. You just need to right click on this nav and click on duplicate. As you can see, the nav is duplicated and we got some more links, that means our nav links displayed on the right side. So we are going to be deleting some of the items that we don't need. So just right click and click on delete. It's just that simple. We are only going to be keeping 2 links. So let's edit it out. The first one is going to be for shop, not for sign up. I apologize for that. And the second one is going to be for sign in. Great. Now we are going to be selecting our first link. We're going to be scrolling down, and here comes the font family, and I need a font family. So just click on add font, and Bootstrap Studio provides you to import the web font directly from Bootstrap Studio. That's the best thing of it, and I really like it. So the font that we are going to be using is going to be Montserrat. So just search for it, and here's the font. You can just click on the styles, which you can see over here. The styles that we are looking for is semi bold 600 and bold 700. Great. And just click on that's it, and click on the save button, and now you will be able to use this font. So what I'm going to do over here is that I need to apply to all of my nav bar. I'm going to be selecting my nav bar, and other than selecting the nav bar, I'm going to be selecting my nav, and the font family I will be changing it to Montserrat. Alright, simple. That's it. Great. And for this link view, I will be changing the font to font weight to font bold. Okay, so just bold, simple. Now I need to change the size of the nav links. So let's see what's the size we have provided to the nav links, which is 13 pixel. So for that we are going to be selecting our nav, okay, and just change the font size of it to 13 pixel. Alright, that looks cool. Now let's style our right links. Alright, so we're going to be selecting the nav, and same thing we're going to repeat again. Then we're going to be selecting the font family, change it to Montserrat, and the first link we're going to be selecting, changing it to bold, okay, to display it differently in our nav links. And now we are going to be selecting this nav, and we're going to be changing the font size to 13 pixel to make it look little bit smaller. Alright, so now the half part for header is completed, but still we are missing something. Our logo is there, our center link is there, and our right link is there. But if you can see right over here, our right links are not attached to the right side. So for doing that, you need to select your first nav link, okay, and then you need to come to options tab, and then you need to set your alignment to center. Boom guys, as you can see now, we do have our nav bar with our logo, with our center links, and with our right links aligned to the right side of our nav bar. Let's see whether it is responsive or not. It's responsive. Now let's view it in our browser. So here's our browser, and guys, as you can see, we do have a beautiful nav bar being displayed over here. We do have our Tesla logo, we do have our center links with a beautiful and transition hover effects. We do have our side links. Now let's right click and click on inspect to see whether it is responsive or not. So let's click on this burger menu over here, and boom guys, as you can see, our nav links are being displayed properly. That's cool. But this is the Bootstrap default nav responsiveness burger menu effect. We are going to be using the different effect for our navigation. So for doing that, you need to open this link right over here, which is in GitHub. The link will be provided in the description below. Just come to the link for changing your nav bar in responsiveness. As you can see, after applying this Bootstrap code, our nav bar will look something like this. It is just going to be opening from the right side, and that looks really cool and unique. Am I right or not? Yes guys. So now let's scroll down. For installing this into your Bootstrap Studio, it's really simple, but you need to just focus now in this part. In this part, you will learn how to include the external CSS into your Bootstrap Studio project and use it. Okay, so as we are for applying this navigation, we are going to be copying these links. One is our CSS link and one is our script link. So let's copy the first CSS link right over here. Let's open our Bootstrap Studio, and now what you need to do over here is that just right click on your styles directory, and then you need to click on link external CSS and just paste the link right over here. But you need to remember that the double quotes or extra tags should not be added. That can cause an error to your project. And just click on import. And as you can see, you got an alert that is saying a link style sheet was added, and now we will be able to use this. Now let's add the JavaScript. So from here, inside this double quotes, you need to copy the link. Again, open the Bootstrap Studio. This is for JavaScript. So just open your JavaScript folder and click on link external JS and paste the link over here and click on import. And as you can see, the JavaScript file is also linked. That's it guys, we are all set. But now we should even add some more packages. So we have added this package. Now we need to add bootstrap min.js package, and we need to add a jquery package. So for that package, you need to open your browser, open a new tab, and you need to just search for Google, the first thing, and then you need to search for jquery.min.js CDN link. Just search for that. The first or second link which you can see from the website of cdnjs.com, that's the official website for using the CDNJS link. Just click on that, and from here you need to just copy the first link. Open your Bootstrap Studio project, right click, import external CSS, paste it and click on import. Now the third package that we need to add is from Bootstrap. So same thing, you need to repeat it again. Open new tab, search for Google, bootstrap.min.js. Do not worry guys, the link will be provided in the description below to access it directly rather than searching it Google as I'm doing. Just search for CDN link. And as you can see, the CDNJS website is over here. Just click on that and then just copy the first URL, that is from bootstrap min.js. Open your Bootstrap Studio, right click, link external JS, same thing you need to repeat again, paste it and click on import. The file is imported, and now let's see whether it affected our responsive navigation in our website or not. So let's open our project in our web browser and let's do a hot refresh. For doing a hot refresh in the browser, you need to press Ctrl plus F5, and now as you can see, hot refresh is performed. Now you need to click on the navigation menu and boom guys, as you can see, this animated nav bar is applied to your Bootstrap website. So guys, you have learned how to link the external CSS in your Bootstrap Studio website. This is the most important thing that everyone should know if they are creating the website UI design in Bootstrap Studio. So that's great guys, this thing looks really good. We have our beautiful nav bar with a beautiful navigation in it. That's really amazing. Great. So now we have successfully completed our header section. Am I right or not? Yes. So now let's start working with our landing page section. So now we need to add a heading and a subheading right over here. For doing that, the first thing you need to do is to make your code look cleaner and easy to understand for you guys when you're working on the code. The thing that you're finished working with, just collapse it. So now as you can see, I've collapsed my navbar, so it is really easy for you all guys to see what is happening in our folder structure. Am I right or not? Yes. So now we are going to be selecting the heading package. Just drag it inside your div, and I'm going to be dragging one more inside my div. Great. So there are two headings being displayed now. So first we are going to be changing its content. The first content is going to be Tesla, and the second heading content is going to be, let's go with Roadster. Great. So now we are going to be providing the ID to this headings because we are going to be styling it in our CSS file differently. So just click on the attributes and provide it a ID. So the first one is going to be a title. For a second, we are going to be providing it an ID that is going to be, let's go with subtitle. Great. So now we have provided ID to our Tesla and Roadster headings. Now we need to align it in center. So how we will do that? So it's just simple. What you need to do is, first we are going to be styling our Tesla. We are going to be selecting it, alright. After that you need to create a CSS block in it, so we'll be able to handle the styling from our appearance. Now just come to your appearance tab, click on style attribute and select your ID of your title, that is hashtag title. We have selected it, am I right or not? Now we are just going to be changing the font size and the font weight of it. So the font size for this we're going to be keeping, that is going to be 32 pixel. Great. And the font family we are going to go with Mondreset. Okay, we're going to go with this, which is a sans serif font family. And then we're going to be changing the font weight and all. So for changing the font weight manually by providing it a number, you can't do it directly from the appearance tab, so you need to do it manually in your CSS file. So just come to the CSS file, and over here for changing the font weight, just write the font weight and write the number of your bold value. So we're just going to change it to 300. Font weight is going to be 300. Now we need to align this text in the center of our web page. So just go with text align center. Great guys, we are done with it. Now let's work with our subtitle. Just select it. Just you need to create a CSS block. Come to the appearance and select the ID. And now we are going to be changing its font size to 40 pixel, and the font family is going to be Mondreset. Simple guys. Now we are going to be changing its font weight. So let's come over here and we can see the subtitle. It's selected. Just change the font weight to bold. That's it. So now applying to both text align center will not look good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove the text align center from both of my headings, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be selecting hero hyphen top. That means this div, right? I'm going to be selecting it and I'm going to be creating a CSS block for it, in which I will just say them to align the text in center. That will be applied to all of the items which is there inside this div. And as you can see, the text is aligned in center, and that looks really good and cool and amazing. Sorry, text align center. Simple guys. So now let's view it in our browser. Boom guys, as you can see, this is how it's going to be looking in responsiveness view. Let's see how it's going to be looking in a web page. This is how it will look in web page. Let's open our created clone. So for that, link will be provided in the description below, so you can easily access the demo of it before going with the tutorial video. So just go with Tesla website.netlify.app. Let's see. Okay, we do have this Tesla and Roadster being displayed over here. That's great. Amazing. Okay, so now we need to work with the down section. So we have completed our first div section, right? So now I'll give you a quick overview. So now as you can see, for our main hashtag hero section, we have completed working with our navbar and with our heading and subheading section. Now we do have some section being displayed at the bottom of our first section. So for creating that section, what we're going to do over here is that we're going to be collapsing this div, and we're going to be entering another div right over here inside this section, which will be styled to display it at the end of our main section. Alright guys, it's just simple. If you're having any queries, you can connect me with Discord, or you can just directly send your queries in my website. The link will be provided in the description below for both Discord and for website. So you should not worry about it, and if you're having any query, you need a direct answer, you can just comment down below. Within 5 to 10 minutes I will reply you surely. So don't worry about it at all. Alright, so for this div we are going to be providing it an ID, as we have provided it to our first div a ID of hero-top. For this div we are going to be providing it an ID that is going to be, let's go with hero-bottom, to just match with our top ID. That looks great. Okay, as you can see, the ID is assigned to our div and that looks clean. So now what we are going to be doing over here is that we are going to be inserting a container inside this hero-bottom div. And now as you can see, it is being displayed after my subheading a empty container. Great. So now what I want is that I want this empty container to be aligned in our at the end of our section image. So for doing that, you need to select your section, come to the options tab and come to the flexbox section and just select display flex. Direction, we are just going to be selecting it as column, and then set justify content between. Now if you just scroll down, as you can see, the empty container is being displayed at the end of our section, and that looks really good and cool and amazing. Great. After that, what we are going to do over here is that inside this container we are going to be inserting a row. Alright, this is the first row that we have inserted, in which we are going to be having our paragraph. So inside this row, what we are going to do is we are going to be inserting a column. Alright, inside a row we are inserting one more column. Great, it's going to be an empty column, and now inside this we are going to be having our paragraph. So just drag and drop the paragraph inside this column. Now we do have a paragraph content. So for that, just open the created project in a browser. Let me see, here's my created project. I'm just going to copy the same content from here and paste it inside this paragraph. And just remove the extra space that we do have. Great, that looks good. So now we have done working with our first row. So now I need to change the color to white, and that should apply to all of the content which is there inside this hero-bottom div. So just select the div, come to the appearance tab, scroll to the font section and just change the color from black to white, which will be applied to the all of the content which is there included in this div. Alright, as you can see, the color is changed to white. Now inside this container, the row that we do have, we are going to be collapsing it, so it will be really easy for you all guys to see the content and the folder structure. And now we are going to be dragging another row inside this div, inside this container. Alright, so as you can see, the empty row is being displayed over here. This empty row is going to be having multiple columns in it. We are going to go with 4 columns. If I show you my created project, we do have one column, second column, third column and a fourth column for a button. We are just going to create that. So now after creating that row, just click on column right over here to add it to the row. Just click on 1. This is the first column added inside your row. 2, 3 and 4. Now as you can see, the 4 columns is added inside my row. So let me just open the row widget. Scroll down, as you can see, the 4 columns are added. Now let's change the content inside it. So inside this column, I will like to insert a paragraph. So I would like to insert 2 paragraphs. I'm just going to drag and drop in it. Now I'm going to be changing the value of it. The value for the first one is going to be 1.9s. and the second paragraph value is going to be 0-60 mph for first column. Now we need to style it. So for styling it, what we're going to do is we're going to be providing it a class. So for providing it a class, we're going to be selecting the paragraph in our overview, and we're going to be doing the same thing that we do when we are going to be assigning the ID. Just click on attributes tab. This time we're not going to go with ID, we're going to be going with class names. Just type the class name that you wanted to assign to your paragraph. Same thing we are going to be doing with our second paragraph. The class name is going to be paragraph-bottom. Simple. So the both paragraph classes are applied. So first let's start styling our paragraph top. Just select it and create a CSS block. Now as you can see, the CSS block is created. What we are going to do is that, guys, we are going to be styling it manually. So we are just going to be changing the font size. So let me just come to the paragraph. Before that, a small note is that if you are working on a Bootstrap and if you're creating a website UI designs, some options is not available in the appearance section, and you need to code that. It is really simple in Bootstrap Studio. The thing that you need to do over here is that you need to come to this P top when you just create a CSS block. Just double click over here. As you can see, it will create a new line. In this you can write your CSS code and style your Bootstrap website with your own CSS knowledge. Great. But now we're just going to be styling it with the help of the appearance tab. So the first thing that we are going to be doing in this paragraph is that we're just going to be selecting the style attribute, remember that, and just we're going to be selecting this .p hyphen top. Alright, I'm going to be selecting that, and now we are just going to be selecting the font size, and the font size we're going to be keeping it is 26 pixel by default. Font family is going to be moderate, and then we will just keep everything simple. Let me just apply it a font weight of bold. Font family is assigned, font size is 26 pixel. It is by default, so you can just add it over here. As you can see, it's not applied. After adding the font size of 26 pixel, it is applied. Great. Now let me scroll to the top. I just got messed up. Okay, now what we're going to do over here is that we are just going to be removing the margin from this paragraph top. So you can just directly remove it from this section right over here, but to show you how can we write an external CSS over here, just double click and write the CSS code, that is margin bottom, and from removing it we're just going to provide it 0 pixel. Alright, that looks really good. Now we're just going to be selecting our second paragraph and create a CSS block in it. Same thing we are going to be doing is that we're going to be selecting it in our appearance tab, and now what we need is we just need to change the font size of it. We're just going to be keeping its font size, which is going to be 13 pixel, and we're just going to change the font family of it. Alright, that looks really good. We're going to keep everything by default. We're not going to be aligning it. We're not going to be aligning our text first. We're just going to be writing our content. We're going to be styling our content. At the end, we're just going to do it differently, so it will be really easy for you all guys to understand. If I'm just styling my content and side by side if I'm even aligning it how I need it to, that will be really confusing for it and it will not be easy to understand. Now I need the same contents to be there inside my next two columns. So what we're going to do is we're going to be deleting the next two columns that we have created, and we're just going to right click on this column and duplicate it. Great, so we got the content. Now we're just going to be changing the content. For the second column, we are going to be keeping it, which is going to be plus 250 mph, and the down value is going to be top speed. And for this one, the value is going to be 620 mi, and the second paragraph value for the third column is going to be mile range. Great. Now we are all set with our three columns. Now at the end we do have a column. What we are going to do for that is we need to assign it a button. So let me do scroll down. We do have this column, right? just search for a button widget. And as you can see, we do have a button widget which we are going to be dragging and dropping inside this column. And boom guys, as you can see, we got a button. Now what we are going to do is we're just going to be changing the button's content. That is going to be reserved now. Alright, great. Now let's view this in our web browser. If I do open my creating project, boom guys, that looks really cool. We got our first row and our second row with 4 columns in it with a reserve now button. That looks amazing. But now if you notice one thing in that, in our first column we do have the speedometer icon. So how can we add an icon to our paragraph? It's going to be really simple. Just search for an icon widget and drag that icon widget and drop it inside your first column paragraph. Alright, and now you need to double click on your icon. It is just going to be opening an option to choose the icon you need. We are just going to be choosing the ionic icons and search for the icon that you need. As now we are going to go with the speedometer, and this is the icon that we are going to be using. Just click on OK, and boom guys, as you can see, the icon is assigned to our column. Let's view it in our browser. Let me just open my creating project. Let it do a refresh. Sometimes it do takes time refreshing it. It doesn't depends on the internet connection, but it depends on your operating system. And boom guys, as you can see, we can see a speedometer icon with a paragraph value inside it. That looks really good and amazing. Now the next thing that we are going to be doing with this div for bottom one, what we're going to do is we're just going to be now aligning it in center and just provide some border to our second column like this. We're going to be providing it a border. We're going to be aligning the content in center and change the width of our row. Simple guys. So let's open our Bootstrap Studio. So now the first thing, let's align this text in center. So first we are going to be selecting our first row in which we do have our paragraph, and now let's change its width to 700 pixel. Alright, that looks good. We are not going to be aligning minimum or maximum width. The height we are going to be keeping, which is going to be 64 pixel. After that, just select our column. To our column, let's align a width. So first let's select the column, and the width that we're going to be applying is going to be 466 pixel. Alright, great. And we're not going to be applying the maximum or minimum width. We're going to be keeping it as default. Height is also going to be same by default. Now what we are going to do in this column, just come to the options tab, do scroll to the top, and now what you need to do is just select the width of 8. Alright, and offset is going to be 2. So now as you can see, it is aligned in center, right? Alright, everything looks good. Now do select our paragraph and select its alignment in center. And now as you can see, it is aligned in center, and now that looks really good and cool. Amazing. Now we do have our row in which we do have our columns. So as you can see, all columns in which we do have our content aligned in the left side. Now what we need is that we need the content to be aligned in center. So for doing that, we can do, let's try to select our row and set the alignment to center, and boom guys, as you can see, it's properly aligned in center. And now the last thing that we need to do in this, what's the div name, hero-bottom section, is that just align our button, reserve button in center. So for that you need to select your column. Alright, come to the options tab, scroll down, scroll to the top, and the vertical align, set it to center. Alright, that's great. Now let's view it in our browser. Boom guys, this is how it looks in the browser screen, but still there's something wrong happening. As we see over here, it's taking the less width, and now we can see it's taking much of its width. So for fixing this, what we're going to do is we're going to be styling our container. Alright, so after selecting the container, just come to the appearance tab, and the width we have set it to 720. We're just going to be setting it to 700 pixel. Alright, that looks good. And the minimum and maximum width, we are just going to change max one to 700 pixel. Good. Alright, everything is set. Let's view it in our browser, and boom guys, as you can see now, all thing is set up. We do have our Tesla paragraph, we do have our 4 columns displaying in a good way. Now the next thing that we need to do is that we need to create these borders, right? So for that, what we're going to do is we're going to be selecting our second column in our second row, this one, and we are just going to be applying a class to it. And the class that we're going to be applying to it is going to be, let's see, the one is with borders. So let's assign it a class of with borders. And now for selecting it, just select and create a CSS block. Now let's write a CSS code. Border of 1 pixel, solid white. And now we need to remove the border from top and bottom and keep it from right and left. So let's write a code over here. Border from top 0, border from bottom also 0. That looks good. Now we need to just make it bit transparent. So just select your white color and just select your transparency as you want it to be displayed. We are just going to go with this one, and let's click on select. That's great. Now let's view it in our browser screen, and this is how it's looking. Guys, that looks really good. This is a clone that we have created. Alright, this is the clone that we have created, and this is a clone that we are working on. Everything looks good, right? Now we are just going to be styling our reserve now button. So for styling your reserve now button, you need to select your button, and now we are going to be creating that means we are going to be creating a class for it. So just add a class name which is going to be reserve hyphen button. So the style will only be applied to this reserve now button, and then you need to create a CSS block. Great. Now we are just going to be first selecting the width and align the width of 100% to take the whole width of the column. And after that, we are just going to be removing the background color. So let's set the background color to transparent. That looks good. Now we are just going to be changing the border color. So the border is going to be 3 pixel solid, and the color is going to be white. You can even assign the hex value. It depends on you. Right now we're just going to go with white color. It's totally same. There's nothing difference in it. And now we need to add a border radius to make us some rounding corners. That is going to be 30 pixel. Boom guys, let's view it in our browser screen, and this is how the button is looking right now. That looks really cool and amazing. Now let's come back to our Bootstrap Studio and see whether it is responsive or not. And we can see it is not responsive. That means the responsive view is broken inside our hero bottom container, right? Let me just come to my browser screen. Let me right click and click on inspect element. And now when I do go to the smaller devices, as you can see, the responsive view is being breaked. So let's fix it together. The thing that we're getting issue is with our hero bottom div. So let's see what's the thing that we have done wrong that is breaking the responsiveness of our website. It's not the problem of Bootstrap Studio, it's the problem that we have done wrong, because for the Bootstrap Studio it provides the responsiveness by default. Alright guys, so now I just got the fix. What was happening with the responsiveness of our hero bottom section is that you need to just select the container that we do have inside this hero bottom div. After selecting that container, you need to see the width is 700 pixel, right, that we was assigned to it, but our maximum width was also 700 pixel, right, or 768. I really don't know anything about that. Okay, and now as you can see it's not responsive, right? So what we need to do is you need to select your container and you need to assign it a maximum width of 100%. That will fix your responsiveness. Only that's it, guys. That's the thing that we was having issue in, that's only the thing that we was having an issue in. So if we are creating a website UI design and sometimes if we got responsiveness error, don't worry about it at all. It's not the error from the Bootstrap Studio itself, it's the thing that you have done wrong. So you need to find, so what was that? I was just finding through this div and through this container. Then when I went through this container, I've seen that when I'm applying it a maximum width of 100%, the responsiveness is being fixed. Like that only you will be fixing the issues when you're creating a website for the first time, UI design for the first time, so you don't need to worry about anything. But still, if you're getting an issues, just comment down below or send me your live project source code screenshot. I will help you to fix that. Great. So now let's see it in our browser. So as you can see, here's my creating website. Let me right click and click on inspect, and boom guys, now as you can see the website is fully responsive and that looks really cool and amazing. The last thing we are going to do over here is that to this width we are just going to be assigning it 100%. Alright, and now let's view it in every devices. Boom, that looks really cool. But still, what the thing that I wanted to do is that for an example, let me just open it in my browser screen. As you can see, after providing it a width of 100%, it's just taking in 8 columns, right? This column. So let's see, still there's some issues, so let's find it out. We are going to be selecting our container, and the width we have provided, it's 700, max is 700. Okay, so now what we are going to do is, after selecting this container, just come to the layout and change this width, which is 100 to 700 pixel. Great, now it's totally aligned in center and now it is responsive. Great. Alright guys, so now we have done with this section. Now what we need to do is, when I do come to my created project, and now when I do scroll down, we can see we do have this nice beautiful down arrow button. So for creating this button, we are going to be using the icon, in simple words. So what we are going to do over here is that I'm just going to be collapsing the rows that we have created, and I'm going to insert one more row inside this container, and as you can see it's inserted right over here. And inside this container, inside this row, I would like to insert a column. So let me just search for the column widget and drag and drop it inside this row. And inside the column, what we are going to do is we're going to be having a button. So just search for the button widget. Simple, drag and drop. Great. So as you can see, we do have a button widget over here. Now we need to just change this button text to icon. Alright, so I've just changed its text. Now I need an icon in it, so I'm just going to search for an icon widget, drag and drop inside the button. Boom guys, as we can see, we do got an icon widget. That means an icon inside a button. Now we're just going to be using the same icons, and we're just going to be searching for down arrow. Let's go with down, and we're just going to be using this one. Just click on OK, and as you can see, it is selected. Now we're going to be styling our button. So what we're going to do for this button is that we are just going to be what we're going to do is assign it a background. So as you can see, the background color is right now blue. We are just going to be changing its transparency and make it transparent. Great, that looks good, and let's view it in our browser to see how it's gonna look. Alright guys, so now we do have a border. Okay, so I would like to remove the border, so we can see the border color is over here. I'll just keep it simple, so I'm just going to be also changing it to transparency, and boom guys, we do have a simple button right over here. And now what we need is we need to align it in center. So for aligning it in center, what we can do is that we do have a column. Just come to the options tab, and we can see over here we do have a margin let's do scroll down to the appearance section. Let's do scroll down to the layout tab, and over here we can see margin. Just set the margin to 0 auto. That should do the work, but still it is not being applied. Why so? Let's see. Okay, let's select the column again. Let's come to the options tab, and now we can do another thing, is that just display it as flex, and the direction is going to be row. Justify content center. That's it. Let's open our browser project, and boom guys, as you can see, the icon is being displayed, but the icon size is bit larger. So what we need to do is we need to change the button size. Let me select the button, come to the appearance tab, scroll down, and now I will just change the width of the button. Let me just go with 60 pixel. Alright, and the height, let me go with 40. Okay, now I need to change the icon size. For changing the icon size inside the button, what we're going to do is we're just going to be changing the font size out to 32 pixel. Boom guys, that looks good. And let me just rewind it once again. We're just going to be removing the width and height and just apply the font size to 32 pixel. That looks good. Let me just see it in a browser, and boom guys, as you can see now, this is how our landing page looking after creating it in a responsiveness. It just took so much time, right? So let me just come back to our Bootstrap Studio for a second and explain you once again what we have done. Before that, we are just going to be selecting this button, and okay, everything is going good. Okay, so now what we have done right now is that we have just created a header section. Explaining in a good way is the really a good thing. So what we're going to do is I'm going to be explaining you what we have done inside this folder structure, and we have completed yet now. So inside this section we have assigned a background image. In this div we do have a top section with the subheading, and in this div we do have this bottom section with some of these columns and a reserve now button, and with this down arrow button being displayed over here. And now let's see whether it's responsive or not. Boom guys, as you can see, it is fully responsive. That's great, and it's really amazing. You can see that we do get so much. This is not aligned properly because of the icon, so it's just gonna look like that in the mobile devices. So don't worry about it at all. Don't think that it's not responsive. It's responsive guys. All right. So okay, so now we have successfully done with the header section. This is our header, that means a landing page, right? Now we are going to be working with our second section, in which we are going to be having a video player and a table of base specs for this car with their mile drive and the price of it. This is going to be our second section that we're going to be working on it now. Alright guys, so when I was checking right now, when I right click and when I inspected, I was having some responsive issues in which the top row in which we do have this paragraph element, it was being overflowed from the right side and was making an issue when we was on the Android devices. So for fixing this issue, what you need to do is you need to open your Bootstrap Studio. The first thing, of course, you need to select your row widget, okay, the first row widget, and in this you need to focus. The first thing, you need to add a margin from bottom of 20 pixel. Second thing, you need to come to the options and you need to set this align columns to the XY center. That's it. And come to the appearance tab and change the width to 700 and maximum width to 100%. That will fix that issue. And now we are all set with our header section, and now it's fully responsive. If I show you after inspecting the element, as you can see, this is the normal devices, this is our tablet devices, and this comes our mobile devices. And when you're going to go more slower, it's gonna look something like this. Boom. Okay, so as you can see, now everything is properly aligned and looks good. So we are all done with our header section, and now let's work with our second section. So now for this creating the second section, what we're going to do is same thing. For creating our landing page section, we have created a section widget, right? Same thing we're going to do again for creating our second section. We're going to be dragging our section inside our body. Great. As you can see, now we got our section over here. Now let me just collapse my first section, and to my second section I'm going to be providing it an ID that is going to be video hyphen and status. Great. Now I have assigned the ID to my section. Now the first thing that we're having is, let me just open my created clone. As you can see, the first thing that we are having in the second section is a video. So let's create a video. For creating the video, we're going to be using the video widget. Just drag and drop the video widget inside your section. After dragging it, just select your video widget and come to the options tab. In the options tab, you can see that which type of video we are going to be using. We are going to be using the URL from the YouTube. If you want it from Facebook, if you want to use HTML file, if you want to use Vimeo, you can just directly select the options from here. But now we're going to go with the YouTube URL, so we are going to be selecting the YouTube option. And let me just get the video's URL. So here's the video URL. The link will be provided in the description below. You can just directly copy the link and you can paste it right in this URL tab. Boom guys. And now as you can see, the video is started displaying over here. Now we need to centralize the video and change its width and height. First we are going to be changing some options over here. First we are just going to be unchecking out this show player controls. And then we are going to be checking autoplay and loop. The video will be played automatically and it will be played again and again. For that we have just started our loop. After that, let's change its width and height. So just come to the appearance tab, and over here we are going to be selecting the width and we're going to change it to 512 pixel. And the height is going to be 400 pixel. That looks good. Now what I need is, I need to centralize this video. For centralizing this video, we're going to be selecting our section which is having an ID of video and status. After selecting it, just create a CSS block and just write a code of text align center. So now as you can see, my video is centralized, but now it looks odd because of a background color of white that is assigned to our body. So we are going to be selecting our body, and as you can see, we can just scroll down and change the background color to black as per our need. And now when we do scroll down, as you can see, our video looks cool in a black background color. Let's see how it looks in a browser. So now let me open my browser screen and open my creating project. Here's my creating project, and as you can see, the video is being displayed over here, and that looks really cool, but still it is smaller. So we need to change the width and height for the video. So let's come back to our Bootstrap Studio. First I'm going to be selecting my section and I'm going to be changing its width and height. So for my section, I'm going to be providing it a width which is going to be 569 pixel. And the height I'm going to go with 920 pixel. Great, that looks good. Okay, so for changing the size of the video, what we're going to do is we're going to be selecting the video tab, come to the layout section right over here and change the width from pixel to percentage, so it will be automatically responsive in the Android devices in Bootstrap Studio. So just select 75%. Okay, that's great. Let's come to our creating project in browser, and when we do scroll down, boom guys, this is how our video looks, and that looks really good. Now let's see whether the video is responsive in the Android devices or not. If I do scroll down, as you can see, the video is totally responsive in the Android devices, and that looks really good. So if you're using the pixels, you need to provide that media queries to it to make your video responsive. But if you want your video to automatically be responsive, just go with percentage. Great. So now we have done successfully with our video section, and after that we do have a table, right? We do have a tables. So let's start creating the table. This is the most important thing to create. Okay, then other all things are going to be easy to create as you have learned how to create the landing page, right? So let's create the table. So for creating the table, we are going to go with a table widget. We are going to be dragging the table widget inside this section. After dragging it inside the section, we can see it is being displayed over here, but the color of the table is black. So I'm going to be selecting my section, alright, and the section ID is video and status, and change the color of it to white. So whatever is there inside my section will change its color to white, but manually it is assigned to the table the color of black. So for changing that, what you need to do is you need to select your table. After selecting your table, just come to the appearance tab and change the font color to white and click on select. As you can see, still it is not being applied, so let's see why is that happening. If I do select my table header and change the color to white, okay, I got that. That is happening because every single, like my heading and the table body in which I do have this table cell, that means columns, is assigned their font color differently. So if I assign it to the table, it will not be applied. So now I'm going to, for applying it to my body, I'm going to be selecting it and changing its font color to black. Simple. Now let's view it in the browser how it looks. Let me come to my creating project and let me do scroll down, and this is how our table is looking right now. We are just going to be adding some paddings from right and left, and we are just going to be modifying our header and columns. So let's come back to our Bootstrap Studio. Okay, so first we are going to be selecting our table, and now let's change its width and height. So for the table, we are going to be keeping its width as 985 pixel, and the height we're going to go with is going to be 514 pixel. Okay, great. So now we have defined the height and the width to our table. Okay, so let's do some changes. What we are going to do is we are going to be selecting this table and providing it an ID that is going to be status. Alright, and after selecting your table, just create a CSS block, and now what we're going to do is we're going to be changing its width and height. So for changing it from the appearance tab, I will explain you once again if you forget. Just select your ID in your CSS file, just come to the appearance tab and select your ID from here, and now just change the width as per our need to 90%. That looks good. And now what we're going to do is we're going to be changing the font size to 15 pixel, and after that I need to change the margin. So for changing the margin, we are going to be coming to the layout tab and change the margin to 0 or 2 to centralize it. Great. After that, I will be providing some margin from bottom to my table, which is going to be, let's go with 150 pixel. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to be adding a media query at 768 pixels. So for adding the media query to your status, just click on these 3 dots and duplicate it, and after that just add a media query to it, that the device you have selected. Now the thing that we are going to do over here is that we're going to keep everything same, but we're going to be changing the width to 600 pixel. Great. And after that I will be changing its margin bottom from 150 to 250 pixel. Great. Now everything is set up, but still we do have some issues with our table. As if you see it clearly, our table, when it comes to the responsiveness to the laptop device on 992 pixel, what is happening, it is being overflowed from our browser, that means from our main body. So we need to just focus on the width of our table, and we need to see why it isn't responsive. Now what we need is we need to align it in center. So for aligning it center, you need to select your table, come to the layout tab, and from 75% just change it to 100% to take it a whole width of our screen size. That looks good, and that's it. Now our table is responsive. If I do come to my table body, as we can see, we do have 2 rows and we do have a 1 header, and in this table row we have 2 headers. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be deleting the second header by right clicking and clicking on a delete button. Now I'm going to be opening it in a browser to see how it looks. This is how our table is looking, and this is our created clone, and this is a clone that we are creating. Let me right click and let me inspect. As you can see, the table is totally responsive, but when it comes to the Android devices, the responsiveness breaks. So let's fix it out together. Alright, So for fixing your table responsiveness issue, what you need to do is, as for this 768 pixel, we have added a media query which is having a width of 600 pixel, right? Now what you need to do is just come to your device where the responsive view is breaking, and this is the code for the responsive view. We are just going to be changing its width to the percentage rather than pixel to 90 percentage. Alright, let's come to the mobile view, and now as you can see the table is totally responsive and that looks good. Let me open my browser project, and now let me just right click and inspect to see whether the table is responsive or not. Now when I do come to the mobile devices, as you can see my table is totally responsive and that looks really clean and really good. Now let's edit the content inside my table. So as you can see, I have removed one column from my header. Now what I need is I want to say this column, I want this column to take the whole width, that means the second column size width also. So for doing that, you need to select your table cell, come to the options tab. Here just do scroll to the top, and you can see a cols span section. Just you want how much space this column to take. We need it to take 2 columns, so just write the number of 2, and now it's gonna take 2 columns. Now if I do open it in my browser screen, as you can see it is centralized, and now it's taking the 2 columns width. Now we need to edit the content inside it. So for the content, we are going to be opening the creating project. We can see that we do have a base specs as our heading. We're going to be selecting it and pasting it right over here. Now what I want is, I want this to be aligned on the left hand side. So for doing that, we're going to be selecting our table cell. Over here, we're just going to align it to the left. Just come to the options tab, and here you're going to be getting an alignment option inside the text options tab. Just align it to the left, and now as you can see it is aligned to the left. If I do open my browser and open my creating project, as you can see that looks really clean and cool. Now we are going to be editing our content for these 2 rows, and then we're going to be duplicating it and pasting it for saving our time. So let me come back to the Bootstrap Studio. So now what I'm going to do is, before changing our columns content, I'm going to be selecting my heading table, and I'm just going to be changing its font size. So just come to the appearance tab, scroll down to the font size section, and just change the font size to 15 pixel. Alright, so it's already 15 by default, but still we have assigned it 15 pixel of font size to our heading. Now let's change the content inside our columns. So let me open my created project, and as you can see there's a content that I'm going to be copying right from here and pasting it directly inside my column text to save the time. And I'm going to be removing the extra space that is coming right over here, because when we do copy and paste, the extra space will be automatically coming. Alright, so now we are just going to be assigning the second value of the second column, that is 0.9 second. Great. Now what I want is this second column's value to be bold. So I'm just going to be selecting my second table cell and change its font weight to bold. Simple. I'm not going to be changing its font size. It will be by default the same as it's for our heading, 15 pixel. Now what I'm going to do over here is that the second table row that I do have, I'm just going to be deleting it, and to my first table column, what I want is, I need to align the text on the left hand side. So let me just come to the alignment section and align it to the left, and for my second table cell I'm going to be aligning it to the right. Great. So now let me just open my creating project, and as you can see that looks really cool. Now one more column we are going to be creating. So for that, what you need to do is, you need to select your table row, right click and click on duplicate, and as you can see that row is duplicated, and now we're going to be changing its inside content, that is acceleration 0-100 mph. Let me just change its value, and the second column value is going to be 4.2 second. Great. Now what I'm going to do over here is that I'm going to be creating the another columns. So without wasting the time, let me create and come back again to save our time. Alright guys, so as you can see now I have created all of the table columns and that looks really good. Let me just view it in a browser. So let me just open my browser screen, which is on my another monitor. Let me just drag it over here, and now let me open my creating project, and boom guys, this is how it looks. This is how our table is looking right now, and that looks really cool and amazing. So now we have successfully finished working with our second section, in which we learned how to add a video in your website and how to create a table, edit your columns on your table, edit your table in Bootstrap Studio. Now let's work with third section. So third section, in which we do have a background image of a car. At the top of that background image we do have two columns displayed with a text in it. So let's start working with the third section. So we are going to be doing same thing. We are just going to be collapsing our second section. For creating a third section, we are just going to be dragging out this section widget inside our body. Great. So now let me just collapse my second section. Great. So now it will be really easy for you all guys to see the folder structure. Now to the third section, we are going to be assigning it an ID that is going to be arrow. Simple. And now the ID is assigned to our third section. Great. So now we need to add a background image in this section. So for adding that, just select your section, come to the appearance tab. Over here you're going to be seeing the background section. Just click on add image and click on this plus icon right over here. Now the image that we are going to be using over here is going to be this one, right? Just select the image and click on OK. When I do scroll down, as you can see, the image is not yet displayed, but before that let me just select it and just align it in center. The size is going to be cover, and the repeat is going to be no repeat. But still, as you can see, we can't see the image because we need to apply the width and height to our section. So the width is going to be 985 pixel and the height is going to be, let's go with 600 pixel. Now if I do scroll down, as we can see, our background image is being displayed properly, but still it is not centralized. So what I'm going to do over here is that I would like to say them to take width of 100%, and boom guys, that looks really cool and amazing. Now if you need to add margin, you can add margin from top. So what I'm going to do over here is that, as you can see, this thing looks good, so I'm not going to be adding any kind of a margin from top, because if I do open my created project over here, as you can see, we should display half of our table and our car together to make the page looks good. So now what I want is my car image should be displayed, and the above that I need to display my table, so I'm not going to be adding any kind of a margin. If I do open my creating project and do scroll down, boom guys, that looks really cool. But as you can see, we do have some margin, so we can add it. So let me open my Bootstrap Studio and come to the layout section. At the margin from top, I'm going to be adding 20 pixel of margin. That's it. That looks good. We do have our car image being displayed over here. At the top of my car image, we do have our second section table also being displayed over here, and that looks really amazing. Now we are going to be adding a container in which we are going to be having these two columns inserted in it with a text. So for that, what we are going to do is we are going to be searching for a widget that is known as container, and we're going to be dragging that container widget inside our section. As you can see, we got our empty container displayed at the top of our section, but what we need is we need to centralize it at our section. That means we do have our section, we need our empty container to be in the center of our image, that means our section. So for doing that, we are going to be selecting our section, come to the options tab, do scroll down to the flexbox section and set the flex container to flex, and align items center. Boom guys, as you can see, our empty container is now centralized and that looks good. Now we're going to be inserting a columns in which we're going to be inserting our content. So for inserting a column in our container, we're going to be first dropping our row, and inside the container we're going to be dropping our row, and now inside this row we're going to be inserting the column. You can just directly search in the studio and drag and drop, otherwise just select your row. You're going to be getting an option over here. So I'm just going to be inserting first one column and second column. So now as you can see, the two empty columns are inserted inside my row. So inside my first column I would like to have a heading, and inside my second column I would like to have a paragraph. So let me drag heading inside my first column and paragraph inside my second column. Great. Now what I need to change the color and it should apply to my section of arrow. So I'm just going to be selecting my section, gonna come to the appearance tab, just select the color and change the color to white. That will be applied to every text which is there inside this section to make your work easy and make your code look clean. Great. Now let's change the content inside these columns. So let me open my created project and just copy the text from here. Open Bootstrap Studio and paste it inside this heading. Cool. Just going to be removing some extra space that we're getting from top and bottom. While we just do copy and paste in Bootstrap Studio, we do get an extra space, so we can just do backspace and remove it. Let me change the paragraph. Great. Now we are going to be styling it as per our need. So for the heading, first we are going to be styling our heading. For the heading, we are going to be just changing the color to white only. The font size is going to be 26.752 pixel. Alright, that looks good. The font family is going to be Montserrat and everything is going to be same. We're not going to be using font weight bold. We're going to keep everything same now. Now let's see how it looks in a browser screen. This is how it looks, and this is how it looks over here. So the font weight is bold. Let me change the font weight to light. Okay, this is font lightweight. Okay, so the font family was not selected, and now I've selected the font family and that looks really good. Let me come to my creating project and boom guys, now the same font family is assigned to our column, heading column. Now let's style our second, that is our paragraph. So for the paragraph, what we are going to do is we are just going to be keeping the font size, which is going to be 16 pixel by default, and the font family, let's go with Montserrat sans serif. Let me come to my creating project on browser, and this is how it looks, and that looks really clean and amazing. Alright, but if you see right over here, our container which is in centralized, I need it to be little bit more down. So for that we are going to be adding the margin from top, or you can remove the margin from bottom. It depends on you totally. As you can see over here, it should be under the tires of the car, so we need it to be displayed over here. So for doing that, let's open our Bootstrap Studio. Let me select my container, come to the margin tab, and from the top I'm going to be providing the margin of 300 pixel. That's it guys. Let's view it in our browser, and boom guys, as you can see, now our container is below our car tire, and that looks cool, not cool, it's cool. Okay, great, that looks cool. So let's right click and let's click on inspect to check whether this section is responsive or not. As you can see, this section is responsive, but if I do come to my created clone, right click and inspect it to see how it is in responsive, as you can see over here, it is displayed in a column. That's it. Same thing is happening over here. When it comes to the responsiveness, it is displaying in a column. Great. So our third section is automatically responsive. We should not edit any kind of a media query right now because we have not added a tables, we have not added a video. It's just simple image, a container with 2 columns. So it's automatically responsive. When you're working with more contents, that time you'll get issues with the responsiveness. So you can just edit your media query in your style.css file. Great. So like that, we have completed our third section also, and let's see what's the next section. If I do come to my created project, scroll down, and the next section is in which we do have an image and we do have an image caption. That's really simple. Let's come to our Bootstrap Studio. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be collapsing my arrow section and create a new section over here and drag it inside my body. Alright, and now I'm going to be collapsing the arrow section. To this section, I'm going to be providing it an ID which is going to be interior. And now as you can see, the ID is assigned to this section. To get an image with a caption, we are going to be using a widget that is going to be figure in Bootstrap Studio, in which you're going to be getting an image with a caption. So just drag and drop it inside your section. Simple. Now as you can see, we can see the image section and we can see a caption over here. So just select the image inside your figure, come to the options tab, scroll to the top. Over here you're going to see the source URL. Just click on the plus icon and enter, select the image. And boom guys, as you can see, we can see the image being displayed over here. Now we need our caption to be displayed. So let's come to our created project, and now we are going to be copying the same thing from here and then paste it inside our caption. We just got some extra space, so we're just removing it. Oh great. So now what I want is whatever is there inside my section, its color should be white. So let's come to the appearance tab and change the text color to white. Now if I do see over here, the text color is not affected because it is automatically auto styled to our caption. So by selecting our caption, we are just going to be changing its color to white. Great. So now let me come to my created project in browser and let me scroll down, and this is how the section looks. We do have our image, we do have our caption being displayed over here. Now we need to style it in center and change the width and height of the image and make it responsive. So let me open my Bootstrap Studio. So first you are going to be selecting your interior section and change its width to 985 pixel and change the height to 600 pixel. Alright, that looks good. After that, select your figure, that is our image with caption. Come to the layout tab and change the width to 689.5 pixel and the height is going to be 252 pixel. Great, that looks good. Let's come to our browser and scroll down, and that's it guys. Our image and our caption looks really cool and same. Now what we need to do over here is that we need to align the image and the caption in the center of our page. So for doing that, come back to your Bootstrap Studio. For aligning the figure in center, what you need to do is you need to select your section, come to the options tab, come to the flex box option, select the flex container to flex, and after that keep everything same and justify content center and align items center. Great, everything looks good. Let me just remove the align item center. Okay, let me just assign the align item center over here. Now let me come to the browser screen, and as you can see, the image is centralized, but it is not properly centralized because of the width that we have provided to our section. So we need to just see what's the issue that we are facing over there. So just open your project. So we can do one thing is that for fixing this, select your section. Alright, create a CSS block, come to the appearance tab and change the width to 100%. Boom guys, and as you can see, now the image is properly centralized and that looks good. Now we're just going to be changing the height to 100 VH. That's it. Now we are all set. Now we're going to be seeing whether it is responsive or not. Before that, let's open our project in browser. That looks cool. Let me just right click and let me click on inspect, and as you can see, it's totally responsive, but we do need some margin and all to provide to our image and the caption. So let's come back to our Bootstrap project. So for making this section responsive, what we are going to do over here is that come to your interior section, and we are going to be duplicating this interior, and from where we are going to be selecting 768 pixel. From here we need to make it responsive. Let me just click it over here and add a media query. So for the 768 pixel media query, we're keeping it 100% of width and height of 100 VH. And for the responsive view, it's going to be taking the width of 100%, but the height is going to be 60 vertical height. VH means vertical height. Let's see whether it is responsive or not. Let me come over here, let me right click, click on inspect, and boom guys, as you can see, the image is totally responsive and that looks really good. Alright, but as you can see, we do have this interior text being displayed over here. So for adding that, we are going to be using the fig caption. So just come over here and search for fig caption, and we can see that we do have a Figma caption right over here. So what we can do over here is that we can just drag and drop a span tag. So just drag and drop the span tag before the paragraph starts and change its value. Let me just make it bit larger to easy to see. Let me just scroll down and change this text value. What's the value over here? It is interior. Okay, just change its value to interior. Great. And now for this interior, what we are going to do over here is that we are just going to be changing its styling. Come to the appearance tab, and for the color, we're just going to be choosing something light gray. Select it, and the font size we're going to be increasing it to 16 pixel. Let's go with 17 or 18, depends on you. I'm gonna go with 17 pixel, and after that what I'm going to do is the span tag, which we can see right over here, and we can see a fig caption. So I'm going to be selecting my span tag and provide it a margin from right, which is going to be, let's go with 5 pixel. Alright, that's it. Let me open it in my browser. And as you can see, this is my created project. Let me come to my creating project. As you can see, the caption looks really cool and amazing. It is that simple, guys. So now we have done with our fourth section also. Now let's come to our created clone and let's see what's next. If we do scroll down over here in the next section, we can see we do have a background image. We do have a text being displayed, which is in a column, of course, and we do have a footer. It's totally simple. Alright, so let's start creating it. This is going to be the last section, and if you're watching the tutorial video till now, and if you haven't subscribed, please do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and press the notification bell to get notified whenever I upload amazing tutorial videos on my YouTube channel. And even follow me on Instagram for latest tech posts. The link will be provided in the description below. So let's work with our last section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be collapsing my interior section and select the section widget again and drag and drop inside the body. Alright, let me collapse my interior section back again. And now what we are going to do over here is that this section will be assigned the ID of, let's go with top view. Top view is the ID that we are going to be assigning to this section for styling it in our CSS file. Okay, so the first thing is that we are going to be inserting a background image. So let me select my section over here. Alright, come to the options tab, come to the appearance tab, scroll down to the background section, click on add image, choose your image from here. We're going to go with this image and click on OK. The image is inserted, but it is not being displayed But before displaying it, we are just going to set the position of center, size is going to be cover, and repeat is going to be set same, no repeat. Now we are just going to be changing the width and the height of our top view section. The width that we are going to be providing it is going to be 985 pixel, and the height we are going to go with, let's go with 720 pixel. Boom guys, let me do scroll down and see this section, and boom guys, as you can see, the section is being displayed in a proper way. But I'm just going to be changing the width of the section to 100% to centralize and to make it responsive image. Great, in all of the devices. Alright, so we have finished working with the image. Let's have a container in which we're going to display that paragraph. So for that, just search for a container. Just drag and drop it inside your section. In this container, we are going to be having a row widget. Alright. Just drag and drop the row widget inside the container. And in this row widget, we are going to be having a single column. So just drag and drop the column inside the row widget. Alright, so as you can see, we got an empty column, but we need to be aligning it at the bottom of our image. So for doing that, select your section, come to the appearance tab, come to the options tab, scroll down to the flexbox section, set it to display it as flex, and direction is going to be row. By default, justify content center. Align items center. So and now as you can see, it is centralized, but what I need is I want it to be displayed at the bottom, so I'm just going to be aligning it at the baseline. Let's go with end. Alright guys, so as you can see, now it is aligned at the end, and that looks good. We can add some margins if we need it to add. Great. So now we are all set with our empty column. Now inside this, we are going to be inserting a heading and a paragraph. So just drag and drop the heading widget inside the column and a paragraph widget also inside the column. Just drag and simply drop it. Alright, so for changing the color, we are going to be selecting our column widget, come to the appearance tab and change the font color from here from black to white. That's it. That will be applied to all of the text that we do have included in this column. Now let's change the value of heading and a paragraph. So for changing it, just open the created project. As I said you, the link is on the description. Just come back to your Bootstrap Studio, select your heading, press Ctrl+V to paste it, and you're all set. Now we are going to be selecting our paragraph. So just copy it, come back to your Bootstrap Studio and paste the paragraph over here. Good, but as you can see, our heading is not changed. So for changing it, let's come back, select it, copy it again, come back over here, select our heading, paste it right over here. Great, we are all set. Alright guys, that looks good, but we can still see that our paragraph is taking much of the width, as we need it only to take one column of the width. So for fixing this issue, what you need to do over here is that you need to select your column. After that, come to your appearance tab, and over here you need to change your width from 720 pixel to 580 pixel to take one column's width. But as you can see, now it is not applied because of we have defined a max width which is 100%. So change the max width from 100% to same 580 pixel. Boom guys, and as you can see, now this thing looks really cool. Let's see how it looks in our browser. Let me open my browser, and as you can see, boom guys, now it is only taking the half width of our image. That means it's only taking a width of one single column. If I open my created clone and if I do scroll down, as you can see, it only takes one single column, and over here also it's taking one single column. If you want it, you can make it more or less, it depends on you. So we're just going to go with 580 pixel for now. Great. So like that, we have completed this section, but before that, let's see whether it is responsive or not. Let me just right click and click on inspect, and boom guys, as you can see, this section is totally responsive and this thing looks really good and amazing. Now the last thing we are going to work is on going to be a reserve now button and a simple footer in which you are going to be having some copyright links and simple copyright links. And then after creating the footer, we are going to be adding this divider between the image and our footer. Great. So let's start working with this section. So for that, you need to minimize your browser, come to your Bootstrap Studio and collapse the top view section. For creating a footer, of course, you're going to use the another section widget, drag and drop it inside the body. Alright, and this section is going to be having an ID of, let's go with simple. What we can do is, other than creating a section, just right click and delete this section. Just search for a widget known as footer widget. Here you do get so many footer widgets. This is by default. When you do hover on this, we do get a footer dark widget. When you do hover on this, we do get a footer basic widget, and here we do get a footer clean widget. So as you can see, this footer, the auto build features of this Bootstrap Studio footers looks so cool. So the footer that we are going to be going with is going to be footer basic. So just drag and drop it inside the body, and as you can see, we got our beautiful and amazing footer. Now what we need is, we need to remove this copyright mark and we need to remove this social media icons. So open your footer widget and you can see here's a div. Just right click and click on delete. The social media icons is deleted. Now we do have a copyright paragraph. Just right click and click on delete, and now it's also deleted. That's great. Now let's start editing our footer. So first, let's edit the links content. So for that, we are going to be opening our created clone, as we can see over here, and we are just going to be copying our first, in which we do have our copyright symbol over here. So we are going to be just copying it and pasting it right inside our list item, and then we are going to be removing the extra space that we do have. Like that, we do have our services and more of the links over here. So we can just going to be copying and pasting it directly. Now as you can see, I have added 5 of the list item over here, but I need some more. So for adding some more list item, as I showed you in our header section, we need to duplicate our list item. So just click on the previous list item, right click and click on duplicate, and that list item will be duplicated. We are going to be using this duplicate functionality 3 times to add 3 more links in our footer. So for the second, I'm going to right click and use the same thing, duplicate, or otherwise you can use a short key other than right clicking from the mouse. Just press Ctrl plus D to duplicate your list item like this. Just select Ctrl plus D, and as you can see, it is duplicated and being displayed over here. So we do got an engage. Now we should have a locations. So we're just going to be editing this as location. So by mistakenly I've just pressed 2 times Ctrl plus T. So we do got a new sections over here. So great. So now everything looks good. We do have content, careers. Alright, then this news should be over here, but no worries, everything will be managed, and locations and all. Okay, so now everything looks good. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to be selecting our list. Alright, we are going to be selecting our list. We are going to be coming to the appearance, scroll down to the font section and change the font to 16, or let's go with 12 pixel. Alright, this thing looks good. Okay, now we can see when I do scroll to the top and we comes to the margin, we do not have any margin of it. But so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to be selecting my list item, and from margin right, as you can see, we do have margins. So we are going to be removing that. So how can we apply it to all, as we have already that means changed our text? So we are just going to be doing it manually. Otherwise you can apply it to one and just duplicate it. It will be applied to all of your list item. So for now we're just going to go simple. I'm going to be selecting every list item and removing the margin from right. margin right 0, and for the last list item that we do have, the margin right is 0. Okay, great. Now everything looks good and properly aligned. Now what I want is I need to change my footer color. So for changing my footer color, I'm going to be selecting my footer widget, come to the appearance tab, scroll down to the background and change the background color to black. Boom guys, that looks good. Now what I need is I need to change the text color of my footer. So for that, I'm going to be coming to my list and scroll to the font section and change the color to the color that I want, which is going to be typically of this thing, light gray. Yeah, this one. Okay, so now I'm going to be selecting it. All right, so now we have totally set up our footer links. Now what we need is, if I do open my created project, now what I need is I need to create this reserve now button. So for creating this reserve now button, we can do one easy thing is that inside our hero section, inside our hero bottom section, I do have a container in which I do have a last row, in which I do have a column of a button, in which we do have an icon. So I'm going to just come to the second row, last column, and over here as you can see we do have a reserve now button. If I will show you over here, we do have a reserve now button. So what we're going to do is we're just going to be copying that reserve now button and we're going to be pasting it inside our footer to get that button over here at the top of our footer links. So for doing that, you need to right click on the button, come to the copy and paste section and click on copy. For pasting it inside your footer, what you need to do over here, first I'm going to be collapsing the list. I'll right click inside the footer, copy paste section and just click on paste inside. That is going to be pasting this button inside your footer section. Boom guys, and as you can see we got our footer. That looks good, but the button is being displayed after my footer link. So for fixing that, you need to drag your button at the top of your list, and as you can see now the button is being displayed over here. Now we need to modify our button. What is happening right now, it's taking the 100% of width. So I'm going to be selecting my button. I will be coming to the appearance tab. Here we can see that we do have the width provided over here. We're just going to be coming to the max width and change it to 20%, or let me just go with 24. This thing looks good, but we need some more, so we're just going to go with 30. Let's go with 35. Alright, that thing looks good. Now what I want is I need to just align this button in center. So for doing that, we can just come to our footer. We can do different things, like you can select your main container, you can apply flex. If you need to style your button, just select your button, come to the alignment, not the alignment, scroll to the top, come to the options, and you can select the flex box section over here and even provide it a flex container. But to affect the button, we are going to be selecting our main container. Flex container is going to be flex, direction is going to be column, and now we're going to be saying justify content center and align items center. Boom guys, and as you can see now we do have our reserve now button with our footer links, and that looks really cool. Let's view it in our browser and see how it looks. Let me open my browser. Okay, so first thing, this is our created project, right? We do have a reserve now button. Let me come to my creating project. Let me scroll down. As you can see, here's my footer, and over here I do have my reserve now button. In my created clone, as you can see, the reserve now button is taking more width than the footer links, but the project that we are working on is taking the less width for the reserve now button. So for that, it's simple guys, select your button and then change its width. Depends on you. Okay, so I'm just going to be changing some more. So come to the appearance tab, layout, width is 35, then I will go with 40, or let's go with 45. Simple. Now let me open my creating project, and this thing looks good. It's enough guys, this thing looks really cool and amazing. Now the last thing that we need to add, but before adding the divider, we're going to be seeing whether our footer is responsive or not. And as you can see, our footer is responsive. Great. So now let's work with our divider. So if I open my created clone, now we're going to be adding this beautiful divider from our above image to our footer. and that explains that this image, if you want to reserve this image, that means this car, you can just click on this specific button. Other than adding an arrow, we can just go with a divider. Alright, so now let me open my Bootstrap Studio and start working to add a divider. For adding the divider, what we are going to be using is that we're going to be using div, because it's a divider, simple. Because we are using div because to add a border to it. So just drag the div widget and drop it inside the footer. Let me just come above the button, bring it above the button. Now we do have a div. Select your div, come to the appearance tab, change its width to 1 pixel, leave min width and max width same. You can just come to height and change the height to 200 pixel. Alright, that looks good. After that, what we're going to do is we're going to be selecting this div, coming to the attributes, and we're going to be providing it an ID that is going to be vertical hyphen line. Now for selecting this vertical line in your CSS file, just open your CSS file and create a CSS block. Now we are going to be writing a code by ourselves. So the width, we are going to define it again of 1 pixel. Width of 1 pixel, and then we are going to be defining a background color we need for this div. Let's go with gray first. Alright, and now I'm going to be selecting it, and I'm going to be selecting the color that I need it to be. Let's go with gray and set the transparency of it. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so after that, what we're going to do is we're going to be adding a margin of 0 auto to align it in center. As you can see a divider over here, right? Now we are going to be aligning it in center. After that, the height, we are going to define it again manually in our ID, that is going to be 200 pixel, as it's already defined, but still we are defining it manually. Then we are going to be removing the margin from top, that is going to be minus 170 pixel. Boom guys, let's see how it looks. So for seeing that, what I'm going to do over here, sorry guys, I got something wrong done over here. By mistakenly, what's happening, I just applied the height and I applied margin. No, I applied margin height and margin top to our interior. So let me just change it over here. Margin of 0 auto, inside my vertical line, height of 200 pixel, and then we are going to be removing the margin from top, which is going to be minus 170 pixel. Great, that is applied to this vertical line. Now what I'm going to do over here is that to my interior, I'm just going to be deleting this that I have assigned, height and margin, and this one also. Great. So now let's see how our website looks. Let me open my creating project, let me scroll down, and as you can see, still we do have some issues that our divider is not being coming at the above of our image. So we need to bring this divider at the top of our image. So for doing that, as you can see over here, the vertical line is selected, margin top is minus 170 pixel. Now let me select my vertical line and just select it inside my appearance tab. You can see the margin top is 170 pixel, but still it's not affected. So let's see why it's not affected. Let me just remove this margin 0 auto, the first thing, and now as you can see, it is affected. Because of the margin that we was providing, it was not being affected. So as it's minus 170, we're just going to go with 120 to see which is gonna be perfect for us. Let's go with 80, let's go with 50. 50 looks good. After that, we need some margin from bottom. The margin from bottom, I'm going to go with 50 for now. That looks cool. Let's view it in our creating project, and boom guys, we do got a divider, but we need it to be some more minimized, minus from top. Let's go with 670. Let me come to my creating project, and boom guys, as you can see, we got a divider between our image and our reserve now button to show the people For ordering this car, you need to just click on this reserve now button. Great, and then we got a footer links. Now let's see whether it's responsive or not. Now I'm going to be right clicking on inspect, and boom guys, as you can see, it's totally responsive and it looks really good. We do have our divider being displayed over here, we do have our reserve now button, and we do have our footer links. And that's it guys, we have successfully created our Tesla clone responsive website, but we need to add some animations. As you can see, when I do refresh, you're going to see, for an example, let me come to the top of the page. When I do refresh it, it's going to be nicely animated. So how can we add the animation to our website in Bootstrap Studio? It's just simple. First, I'm going to be scrolling to the top. Okay, now I'm going to be selecting this Tesla and header. So for that, we're going to be coming to our first section, hero-top, and I do have this heading. I'm going to be selecting it one by one and coming to the animation tab. Over here, I'm going to select scroll, and the type is going to be fade up. You can set the duration if you would like, but yeah, the duration I'm going to go with 700 ms. Simple. Let's play. Just select play once and click on play, and this is how it's going to be applied. Same thing we are going to do with our second subtitle heading. For applying the animation, come to the animation tab by selecting your widget, trigger scroll, type fade up, duration is going to be 700 ms. Select the play once open option to see whether it works or not, and click on play button, and as you can see, the animation is working. To see it live, let me open my creating project. Let me just close the responsive view and do a refresh, and as you can see how smoothly this heading and subtitle heading animates. Now we are going to be adding the animations to our columns. So for adding this animation, what we are going to do is, as you can see, we do have we do have delay between these columns. So for doing that, just come to your hero bottom section, and as you can see, we do have columns over here. Before that, we are going to be selecting our paragraph. To this paragraph, we are going to be adding an animation. Same thing we're going to repeat again and again for all of our columns or a button in which we need to add the animation. The duration is going to be same 7 seconds, but the delay we are not going to be setting up for this. We're just going to keep it same, and that's it. Let me select my columns now. Okay, trigger scroll, fade up, duration, we're going to go with 700 ms. Okay, and the delay, for this we are not going to be having delay. Okay, so that's it for our second column. For our second column, we are going to be adding the scroll, fade up, duration, and the delay. Delay is going to be, let's go with 300 ms. Let's go with 500. Great, 500 ms. Let me just play. All right, that looks good. What is happening? Okay, that's good. Let me just open my creating project. Let me do a created project, and let me do a refresh. As you can see, the divider also comes. Okay, great. So we are all set. Now what we need is, we need to work with our third column. Select for adding a delay, scroll, type. You can select any animation you like from here, but for the website, we are just going to go with fade up. Duration, you can just go, I'm just going to go with 700 ms, and the delay is going to be, before it was like before delay what we have set up, let me just check it out, 500 ms. So for this, we are going to go with 600 ms. Great. And now let's come to our last column, which is the reserve now. So for that, we are going to be triggering a scroll animation, fade up, duration is going to be 700 ms, and the delay, let's go with 700. Great. Okay, things are all set. Let's come to our website, and boom guys, as you can see how nicely it animates. Great. So now we're just going to be adding some animations to our second section, third section, and our last section. Same thing you can do, and you can add animation inside your website. So for this section, we're just going to be doing the same thing guys. I'm just going to be selecting the animation, I'm going to be selecting the duration. Simple. Okay, for this we are not going to be keeping any delay and all. If you would like, you can just keep it, depends on you. Table also, we're just going to be setting everything same guys, fade up, duration of 700 ms, that's it. Let's come to our arrow section. In this section, what I want is that I do have a container. What I want is that to image and the content that we do have at the above of this image to be animated together. So I'm just going to be adding this animation to the section over here. Great. Now let's come to our video, in that means image section, that is our interior. Same thing should happen with this. Selecting the section, scroll, fade up, and the duration is going to be 700. Now let's come to the top view section. Same thing we are going to do over here. Selecting the section, providing it a type of the animation that we're going to be applying to it, and that's it. Now the footer is going to be simple. We are going to keep footer simple without the animation. If you want, you can just select the footer and you can just come to the animation tab and apply the animation by selecting the trigger of scroll. So now let's see how our website looks. Before that, let me just come to the top and do a refresh. Boom guys, as you can see how nicely it animates. When I do scroll down, our button animates. As you can see, our table is animating, our down section is animating, our this section is animating, and our this section is also animating, and that's it guys. So now we have created a successfully our animated website with Bootstrap Studio. So in this video, you have learned how to create a responsive website with Bootstrap Studio. Alright. Second thing, you have learned how to use your own CSS code, or if you want to edit the Bootstrap CSS code, how can you do that? Third thing, you have learned or how to make, for an example, if you're creating a website in which you're adding some of the widgets that is breaking your responsive design. So how can you add media queries by yourself? Third thing, you have learned that. Fourth thing, you have learned now how can you just add animation in your website, right? So now you are able to create any kind of a website. If it's e-commerce website, if it is that means informative website, you can now easily create it with Bootstrap Studio, right? So let's get a last demo of our Tesla clone website that we have created. So for that, we are just going to be doing a hot reload, and boom guys, as you can see, it is animating nicely, right? Everything looks good. Everything looks amazing. We do have our divider, right? We do have our reserve now button, and we do have our footer links with some beautiful hover effects that is provided by default from Bootstrap Studio. So guys, that's it for this video. In this video, you have learned how to create a responsive website with Bootstrap Studio. If till now you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and press the notification bell. And for the source code, every links will be provided in the description below. If you're having some issues while creating this website or any website in Bootstrap Studio, just comment down below, or you can just connect with me on Instagram and Discord. The both links will be provided in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.